Hey everyone, welcome to the Reddit branch. Today we have interesting stories from Reddit that I would love to hear your opinion about. So feel free to let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for content like this every day. First story, am I the a-hole for losing my temper on my mom for not sending the money she got after selling my boyfriend's car? Honestly, I just feel at a loss and I feel like I may be the a-hole for losing my cool on my mom. For some backstory, my boyfriend and I, 24 female, were living with my mother for a while when the clutch on his car gave out. We decided we didn't want to fork over $800 to have it fixed since it was an older car with a lot of kilometers on it and things were starting to go wrong with it anyways. My boyfriend and I originally were going to have the car donated and take a tax credit as we didn't want to pay for a tow truck. But my stepdad found someone who wanted it for scrap and they paid us $400, so great. We ended up having to move before we could get the cash, so my mom took it for us. A month and a half later, my mom, 46, has gotten into a habit of putting off sending the money. She claimed she forgot or needed to put it in her account to e-transfer, then never sending it, and then her dog needed to be put down. I felt bad hounding my mom for money when she was grieving, but I gently asked her every week if she could send it. Today, however, things reached a peak. I have been off work since October because of COVID and I have been hopelessly trying to find a job. Our government has been good for financial aid, but my period of assistance has run out. I have been applying for an extension, however I haven't had any income for 2 weeks now. My phone got cut off today and my boyfriend, bless his patient soul, ended up paying for it to get it back on. With my tail tucked between my legs and a frustrated push from my boyfriend, I confronted my mom again about the $400. I asked her for it and she told me she would send me $250 today and $150 next week, so I lost it. I asked her why on earth she cannot send me the money when it was actually ours. I told her I didn't understand where it went and that it wasn't her money to spend. She replied that her dog needing to be put down was an unexpected cost and that they had no money for her mortgage, so she needed it. So all of this ended up making me feel terrible for even asking. Then she goes to ask me why I have stuff to pay for when my boyfriend's parents said we could be here rent-free. I never said anything to lead her to believe that. And I told her it shouldn't matter as it was our money for the car and it wasn't hers to spend. She hasn't responded to me yet. I feel like I might be the a-hole because of how short-tempered I was. I know she's going through a tough time and they didn't have to help us sell the car, but they really did us a favor by doing so. So am I the a-hole here? People replied in the comments with, "Big, you're not the idiot. Like you said, it was never her money to begin with. If she really needed the money to put the dog down, she should have asked if it's okay first. Some vets will allow you to do a payment plan, or she could have used a credit or a loan." Her not talking to you over this is very immature in my opinion. She doesn't sound like a parent at all, more like a bad friend. You're not the a-hole here. She carelessly stole your money, she deceived you, lied to you. If she really needed this money, the decent thing to do would be to ask if she could borrow it. I'm sure if you were aware, you would have allowed her to use it anyways. She's actually the a-hole here for stealing from her kid and lying about it. You're not the a-hole, but you won't see that money again unfortunately, so just focus on trying to get your benefits back on track until you can find a job. Also, now you know never to trust your mom with money again. Also, I suspect most responders will tell you how awful your mom is, but I have some sympathy for her if she's telling the truth about the dog and mortgage. Now on to our next story. Am I in the wrong for asking my mother-in-law's unknown friend to leave? My mother-in-law lives out of state and has been staying with us for about a week now, and she's supposed to be leaving to go back home tomorrow with a planned ticket my girlfriend and I paid for. Today, after getting off work, I called my girlfriend while she was at work and we were talking for a few minutes while I drove home. About 5 minutes into our drive, she tells me that someone is calling the gate for our apartment complex to be let in. She calls back and tells me that someone was asking for my mother-in-law. My girlfriend assumes that she just ordered food and they are there to deliver the food, so she lets him in the gate. My girlfriend assumes that she just ordered food and that they are there to deliver the food, so she lets him in the gate. Once I get home, I find this random man on my couch with my mother-in-law and my girlfriend's little sister who is 10 years old. She introduces him as her friend John, and I exchange awkward hellos with him and go into our bedroom to call my girlfriend to ask who he is. She says she doesn't recognize him and calls her mom to see what's going on. After a brief explanation of he's just a friend and nothing else, she asks her mom to make the man leave, and her mom says, "You're being very rude, I have a guest over," and then proceeds to hang up on her. My girlfriend calls me back and says, "Get him out of my house." I walk in the living room and ask rather politely, given the circumstances, I have audio recordings of all this by the way, for the man to leave. She tells me I'm being rude and tries to argue, but I hold my ground and she gets up and walks the man out. Once they walk out, I ask my girlfriend's little sister if she's ever seen this man before, and she says no. After a few minutes, my mother-in-law walks back in the front door and slams it and starts talking about how she can't stay here and that we're so disrespectful. I tell her that she was the disrespectful one by bringing some stranger into our house without permission and without our knowledge at all, but she wasn't having it. I also told her that she didn't have to leave, but she said I can't stay here anymore. She said I was being a jerk, and I told her if I wanted to be one, I would actually cancel her flight, but I had no intentions of doing so. She then started packing up all her stuff and hugged her 10-year-old daughter. She stays with her dad here in our state. And eventually walked out of the apartment with her bags and said she was getting a hotel room. About 5 minutes after she left, she texted my girlfriend and said, "He said he was going to cancel my flight. Please let me know if he does so I can make other plans. I want nothing to do with him anymore." So my girlfriend tells her that he's not canceling your flight. You shouldn't have brought this man into our house without our permission. Mother-in-law then replies with, "Nope, two wrongs do not make a right, and I don't want anything to do with you or him anymore." After this, my girlfriend begged her to come home, and she said, "Screw you and your boyfriend." Am I in the wrong for asking that dude to leave? Would I be in the wrong if I cancelled her flight after she said "screw you" to me and my girlfriend? Update: John was actually met on Tinder that day by mother-in-law. People replied in the comments with, "You're not in the wrong for the interaction. Cancelling the flight though would be borderline. But think about this, if you cancel, she will probably be in the area longer. Don't keep her there any longer than necessary." On another note, I hope the 10-year-old sister is safe with you or her father. If I were your girlfriend, I would actually be very concerned about who that man was and if her little sister is at risk of being around him again. This whole situation sounds very messed up, and it doesn't sound like you can trust the mother's judgment. You're not in the wrong here. She's a guest in your home and should never have been inviting random men in, especially without your consent. As for people saying you're in the wrong for the flight thing, it seems like people aren't reading it properly. You were saying that she said you were being a jerk, and you were just explaining that if you wanted to be a jerk, you would actually cancel the flight. But you wouldn't because you're not a jerk. It was an example. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling out a secretary and threatening to report her to her manager after she revealed health information? I got a needle stick injury at work. I'm a healthcare worker, and my family doctor filled out a lab requisition for baseline blood work to be done. One of the tests is HIV. I went to an external lab to get it done because my family MD office is closed. It's a typical diagnostics lab. In the waiting area, there are 5 other people sitting down. I go to the secretary and hand her the requisition forms. She takes them, checks me in, and I sit down. After 10 minutes, she calls me back calling out my first name and says, "Ma'am, there is an issue with the HIV test form." Everybody in the waiting area heard her and started giving me weird looks. I went to her very angry and I told her, "You cannot just announce people's personal health information like that." She says, "Oh, it's okay, you're just getting tested just because of a workplace injury." I told her that's fine, but other people do not know that. What if I had to get tested for HIV for a more personal reason? What if somebody who knew me was in the waiting area and heard I was getting tested? She apologized, but I told her I will be calling her manager and informing them of the incident. She rolled her eyes and said, "Go ahead," in a mocking tone. I told my husband what happened and he said maybe I should cut her some slack. But I told him revealing personal health information is a huge violation. It's something that was drilled into me as a healthcare worker. I am appalled that the secretary was so careless about it. I don't care if she gets scolded or loses her job. This is not something to mess around with. Am I the a-hole here? People replied in the comments with, "You're not the a-hole here. That's an HIPAA violation. If in the US, she can and should be fired for this. Keeping health things private is very important." You're not the a-hole here. You're not the a-hole here. I'm an admin staff in a healthcare setting, and if they don't do anything, escalate and escalate until someone does. You're not the a-hole. What she did is a huge privacy violation and is illegal almost everywhere. This can wreck people's lives. The fact that she clearly didn't care shows she does this sort of thing all the time. You would be actually the a-hole if you didn't report her. This concludes all the stories we have for this video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to share your opinions in the comment section down below. Until next time.